Daniel used his crotch as a coaster. And then Dave says, my right testicle is throbbing right now. In that same conversation. Again, do you know you're on TV? I think if he had a different face, she'd be all in, but I think she's making this up. I think Meg doesn't want to leave because she loves talking. Like, she just likes having a space where people have no choice but to listen to what she has to say. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Selena. Today we are doing the Love is Blind review for episodes 4 through 6. Listen, this is very interesting. I know I'm a little bit late, but we have a lot to get into. If you haven't seen my last video, we review Love is Blind season 8 episodes 1 through 3, which is really bland and boring. We are getting into some new tea now. If you see me looking down, it's because I have all my notes here. Episode 4. Now, remember I said that Devin and Brittany were my favorite couple? We kind of see another sweet moment. Devin reveals that he has a back injury. Okay, I am not a pharmacist or a doctor, but he does talk about being addicted to ibuprofen. I don't know the legalities or about that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I am curious about that. Like, being addicted to painkillers, I feel like you'd be addicted to more stronger things. And listen, I'm very grateful that he shared his story. Maybe someone out there is relating to him, but that was also very interesting. He reveals his back injury. I don't know if it was the editing, but I don't think we should have seen this man tell his very heartwarming story twice. I think it was great to see Brittany's reaction and Regina's reaction, but we didn't need to see this man say that story twice, and he said he's never not cried while saying that story. I really thought it was beautiful because he talked about his religion and his faith being a part of his journey. He basically said, without saying, that he had thoughts of not being here anymore, and that was just a very dark period in his life because when he had a back injury, he couldn't do what he loves, which is basketball. So that was really sweet. It was just great to see him feel comfortable to talk about that with his connections. Brittany reveals that she has been with a girl before. I don't think she necessarily classified it as like, I had girlfriends before, but she basically said, I've been with a girl before, but I don't see myself marrying a man. Now, I thought this was interesting because she does talk about her upbringing and saying it was kind of strict and religion was a big piece. Let me know in the comment section down below if you interpreted this, but it does seem like this could be her way of coming out, and maybe she doesn't want to put a label on it. I feel like because she's expressed that she's had a very strict upbringing, you know, not being able to listen to specific music, I wonder if she has some internalized feelings that she can't marry a woman, because she says, I've been with a girl, I basically love anyone who loves me, but I just see myself marrying a man.
I feel like I've been programmed to kind of be ashamed. I realized things about my sexuality that I couldn't really ignore.
And I fully support marrying whoever you want to marry. I personally think I could see it going that way, that she wants to marry a woman, but in her mind, maybe she thinks that it's supposed to be with a man. I don't know. But I thought it was really great that she was able to express herself. I hope that her story resonates with someone out there. She also said she's never said that to anyone before. Thought that was huge. We find that out, and I feel like Brittany can read people really well. She notes that Devin's response to that was maybe not necessarily what she wanted. So Devin basically says, oh, okay, like, I need to think about that. He asks some questions. Will you ever want to be with a woman? How do I know you're going to be committed type thing? And she's like, I'm always monogamous. She was like, okay, I know it's a lot to digest, but I guess I didn't expect you to react that way. We then get into Taylor and Daniel. I thought they're basically the same, like, they're connecting really well, but something that stood out to me was Taylor was saying that it sucks that you think about life in a different way once something happens. She talks about how her dad is sick. He has a terminal illness. I believe it's cancer. You know, ever since her dad got sick, she's thought about things differently, and certain things that would annoy her, she just kind of lets it go because you never know when it's the last time you're going to talk to your family member or see someone again, which I know all too well. Anyways, Taylor mentions about how people, I feel like you would know, someone, whether it's a family member or someone that tells the same story over and over again, and listen, they don't even have to be 60 plus. I know people who do this all the time. They're either in my age range, maybe 40s to 50s. We all know at least one person who does this, okay? Taylor says, just let her tell the freaking story. And I put that in my quotes in my notes. And I thought that was nice to see because it is true, like, there is kind of that balance of, yes, it's annoying, but it's also a privilege to be able to be annoyed by a family member that you love, you know? Oh, I also put in my notes, Daniel, he like straight up used his crotch as, what's it called? Daniel used his crotch as a coaster, and I feel like no one's talking about that. He's literally just full on out, the wine glass on top of his crotch just chilling. And I think that's foreshadowing into the next couple episodes. Do people not realize they're gonna be on TV? Like, do people not realize this is national television? Anything you do or say can be held against you, filmed and published. Hold on, let me not get too worked up. I just thought that picture of Daniel was really funny, and I was screenshotting it from my notes, and my husband was like, what are you screenshotting? And then we get into episode 5. Lauren and Madison talk. So Lauren said she doesn't know if Molly knows that they're both talking to Dave. She keeps saying, who's more delulu? Me? Her? Is Dave just really good at validating us? Like, please, Lauren, wake up. Have some discernment. This man is a walking red flag. Everyone knows who's dating who, so it's just very much interesting. We see Dave and Molly in the pod date. Dave says he now regrets saying, what's wrong with you, to almost every single lady in the pods. Molly's like, did you even say that to me? I don't even think you did. She just eats up everything Dave says. It's very crazy to me. And then Dave says, my right testicle is throbbing right now. In that same conversation. Again, do you know you're on TV? And that reminds me, I don't know what episode it was, but Meg straight up said her booty tingles too. Her booty tingles when she gets broken up with, and her booty tingles when she's really, really anxious. We know the internet's forever. I know it's easy to forget, probably if you're being filmed for long hours, but there's just some things that you may not want to say. I wanted to note this about Dave. It seems like he changes his responses and answers depending on who he's talking with. And the pod date with Molly still. And they're talking about rings. Mind you, we don't see any type of conversation about rings with Dave and Lauren. So he's talking to Molly about what type of ring would you like? What are you into? He says, are you a silver or gold person? She says gold. He's like, me too. Which I thought was interesting because he was wearing a silver watch, but that doesn't mean anything. Then he asked her more about the design or what other type of rings that she'd like. She said something unique like emerald. And then Dave's like, oh, I was about to ask. Dave basically says he wonders if his dad is holding his mother's wedding ring for him. His mother had passed. Molly says, well, maybe, maybe not, but what if your sister wants to do something with that ring? He was like, oh, that's a very good thought. You know what? I want my wife to have her own ring anyways. Like, I don't know, he just kind of gives flip-flopper, wishy-washy. Then, towards the end of this episode, Lauren sticks up for herself because she kind of sees Molly is like over the moon after her date. They just talked about rings. She's under the impression that Dave chose her and is about to break up with Lauren because Dave said, you were my number one from the beginning. After that date ends with Molly and Dave, Lauren sees that Molly is over the moon. Then she gets into her pod date with Dave. I think she's a bit more vocal about what's going on with us. What are you telling Molly? Are you validating both of our feelings? I need to know where you're at. I feel like we are at this stage. I haven't really heard it from you, but this is where I'm at. I'm here for you. And then I think that was what made Dave want to actually pick Lauren. He was like, oh, that's where you're at. Like, I am leaning towards you. And then he says, you've always been my number one. So we see him in another lie again. Molly said her and Dave are the same person, and she's figuring out who the other connection is. At this point, Molly doesn't know that Lauren is the other connection. Only Lauren knows that Molly is talking to Dave as well. Dave said he and Molly are so similar but have no deep conversations in the pods, which is kind of true. We just see them talking about sexual stuff, nothing else really, to be honest. Lauren says she's only here for Dave and now he's thinking. So we see in the pods, Madison said to Lauren that Molly said Dave is gonna break it off with her. So there's kind of that gossip here and there, here and there. I think there's a lot of canceling when it comes to Madison, which we'll talk about her later on. But I thought that was interesting because there's a lot of hearsay going around in the pods. Lauren's like, so I'm gonna get broken up with. I was just told that I've been in the number one. That's what we see before Dave breaks it off with Molly. Molly gets broken up with, and during that pod breakup, it was just very interesting because Dave is like, I think he's trying to keep the pod connection open. He basically says, I'm just struggling, this is a really hard decision, I just got out of a pod date with Lauren. And then Molly's like, so did you decide anything? Like, I think Molly's very mature about this conversation, at least inside the pods, really good at reading the room, which Dave is not, and everyone can totally see through what Dave is trying to do. But Molly's like, you just made your decision. If you're gonna make that decision, I think you should own your decision. Dave's like, oh yeah, well, I meant that. Yeah, that's what I just did, I thought. Okay. Molly's like, good luck. And then Dave says, why are you so cool with it? It's basically saying, you're gonna break up with someone, and then if they're like, okay, you're like, well, why aren't you crying? You know what I mean? Molly made a good point. I don't want to be with someone who isn't sure about me. I mean, keep in mind, they have like a week to 10 days to get to know someone and date in the pods. Are you really going to be crying in the pods? Or you might save some of that for after you're out of that pod. I think Dave was butthurt that she wasn't crying and begging and blah, blah, blah. We're just going to stay with the Molly, Lauren, and Dave love triangle. So then Molly gets out of that pod breakup. It's weird because Lauren is the only person waiting for Molly to come back from the pods. Normally there's like a group of girls scattered throughout the lobby, and it was just Lauren, and Lauren's kind of like trying to see if Molly got broken up with. How are you? How's it going? And then Molly's like already in tears. And Molly basically said like, is it weird if we talk? And she starts crying and she says, I told him I just want him happy and I just want you happy, and I didn't know that it was you. I honestly thought the other connection was Sara. I'm so sorry. I'm just not figuring out that that's why you were kind of distancing yourself or leaving the room whenever I'd come out of a date. I'm so sorry. So they have this little girl hug, and then Lauren talks about who's who, delulu again. And then Lauren's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I honestly didn't know if you knew. We're okay. And then that's that. Molly goes home. Enough with the Dave, Molly, and Lauren stuff. Let's go back to Brittany. We're still in episode 5. Brittany breaks it off in the pods with Devin. She's so mature. And this was such an amicable, respectful, and mutual pod breakup. Probably the best one we've ever seen in all 8 seasons of Love is Blind. And I think Brittany is such a good, understanding, and vibrant person. I think Devin is too, but I really thought it was great how Brittany took the reins on that, and the way she was communicating like, hey, we're just not each other's person. You know, I think we get along really well. I just don't think it's gonna work out. I know yesterday when I was sharing things with you about my sexuality, maybe it wasn't the reaction I wanted, but I can't fault you for that. And then that was that. They realized they're both not each other's person. So then Devin gets back into the man pods and he's like, that went way better than I expected, so now he can focus fully on Virginia. I am just now finding this out too. I highly recommend watching Storytime with Ricky's video about this. Brittany actually got engaged to Mo during this season. It was just sad that we didn't get to see that. Instead, we saw a whole other storyline of folks who didn't even get followed or engaged, which we will get to. We saw this interaction and encounter with Brittany, but we didn't see her and Mo at all. So I thought that was pretty bad. Ben and Sara, they do the reveal. You know what? I'm not rooting for this couple. Sara, I don't know if enough people are talking about how you portrayed yourself on this show, but you basically acted like you were so pro Black Lives Matter. You know, you wanted to advocate for people of color, social injustices, and you acted like you were very keen on aligning your values for someone you're gonna marry potentially one day. But it seemed like all of a sudden you were so gung-ho for this man who did not vote.
I really didn't get into politics, or like I didn't get interested until Trump took office and George Floyd.
I'm like kind of ignorant towards that stuff. Like I didn't vote in the last election. As long as I don't know, it's not gonna, do much. So
who removes himself from racial concerns, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is my person.
I just need reassurance about the social causes, and I know we don't have opposing viewpoints.
I'm not looking at it as your responsibility
to like help me with that. I don't want you to have any burden or any weight on your shoulder thinking that you have to teach me, because I do have that motivation to grow into that.
The only thing that he said that could have potentially assured her is that he said he basically has the capacity to be open. So you have the capacity to be open and maybe be open to a Black Lives Matter conversation, or maybe be open to voting. That doesn't mean anything. And it's such a privilege to be able to remove yourself. It is also such a privilege to be able to say, hey, I'm advocating for this, but you also have the opportunity to not, because it doesn't affect you directly.
I've just kind of been staying out of it.
I don't like those answers, to be honest. But it's
like,
okay, and I'm glad you're honest.
Yes.
I don't want you to lie, but I think it is so easy for us to not have an opinion.
You have the ability to remove yourself as well, like Ben did, and that just put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not really rooting for this couple, to be honest, but they had a really good reveal. I feel like he is so smitten with her, so the pod's open. Sara was very calm, and she didn't do any of that. She was just very confident when she walked in. So that was a good reveal. Ben basically said that Sarah's the hottest girl he's ever seen in his life. Kiss, kiss, sexual attention. It's a good reveal. It's probably one of the best amicable reveals, I feel. Like, you can tell both parties were attracted to each other. And then they did this thing. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. But Sarah's like, let's look at ourselves in the mirror, which I think is kind of cute in a way. Then it gets kind of weird because then they start doing that later on, looking at themselves together always. We're still on episode 5. The last thing I want to say about Sara is that you can't pick and choose your values. If you are very gung-ho about your values aligning and that you can't teach values to people, I don't know why you still pursued Ben. If that were me, I would have moved on to the next. Last part of episode 5. So we have Madison and Mason. Madison breaks it off with Mason. This is before they have their breakfast. They get in. There's breakfast trays in both of their pods. They had a cute little moment because he got her cream pie, and so that was an inside joke because she said she loves those. Keep in mind that at this point, Mason had already said that he's committed to Madison, and then also Madison had previously told Alex that she's gonna break it off with this connection. Also keep in mind that Alex knows who Madison's other connection is, and he straight up asked Madison, who's your other connection? Keep that in mind. In the pods with Madison and Mason, Madison comes out and says, hey, I've been doing a lot of thinking about my gut feelings, and I have a stronger connection with my other connection. I put in some quotes in my notes as well, and most of these quotes are verbatim, some filler words I took out. After she says that, Mason says, I feel like I added unnecessary pressure when I told you I'm committed to you. I don't know if it felt right. That is after Madison broke it off, okay?
When I said it, I don't know if it felt right. It was an unfair thing to do to both the people I was seeing.
Madison says, it's not my conversation to have, but Meg and I did talk. Madison says, so you didn't mean it?
I mean, I don't know why you would say that if you didn't mean it. I got into my other date and was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for.
So she got mad that Mason basically said, like, I shouldn't have said I'm committed to you. Madison says, it's not my conversation to have, but Meg and I did talk. And you basically might have ruined 2 good things. There's a lot of people canceling Madison right now. I think there's some things to talk about here. Okay, here's the thing. I see what Madison's saying when Mason said, I shouldn't have said that. I think she had every right to say, well, why would you say that if you didn't mean it? Because if I'm in the pods and my connection says I'm committed to you, I'm gonna be under the impression that they're gonna cut it off with other people, but I think it would be good to clarify that before the pod date ends. I think where Madison went wrong is that she kept going after her response, because I feel like Madison has good responses to things. I think she really tries to be aware of her feelings, but I also feel like she tries to say the right things, but you can tell she is hurt.
You said that, but you didn't mean it. And I kind of saw that.
There was no indication when he said, I'm committed to you, that she knew he said that and didn't mean it. Because why would she be like, oh no, Mason said he's committed to me and I have him as my second connection. Like, we see right through that. Maybe Mason should have been more forthcoming and saying, hey, I'm committed to you. I'm going to go ahead and end it with my number 2. That should have happened. Also, it's kind of the name of the game to have more than one connection and navigate that. There's no rule book. This is considered an experiment still.
I'm not faulting you for that. Like, that's just what this is, right?
For her to say you were dating 2 people at once and Madison was dating 2 people at once as well, I feel like that's kind of hypocritical. We see that happen. If you don't believe in karma, you might believe it now, because episode 6, Meg finds out that Madison broke it off with Mason. She says, breakups taste good. Do I sound like her? I don't know. Once Meg finds out that Madison broke it off with Mason, she's automatically like, okay, there's no point. I'm automatically going to be number 2. There's no way that I would have known that Mason is sure about me because he just got dumped. If I were Meg, I would have been thinking the same thing. We see Meg and Mason in the pods, and she's very communicative about that and respectful in that sense. She's like, there's no way I would have known. And Mason's like, I wish I didn't say that. Like, I wish it didn't have to end this way. And Meg's like, I just hope you understand. Then Meg says, I don't want to leave. I feel like I belong in the pods here. You know what? I don't think anyone's saying this. I think Meg doesn't want to leave because she loves talking. Like, she just likes having a space where people have no choice but to listen to what she has to say, and her conspiracy theories about changing the weather and ant farms. But I don't know, I do think that Meg and Mason had a great connection. In the trailer after episode 6, we do see them holding hands, so there's potential that they do reconnect. So I hope they do, because I honestly thought they had a better connection. I think because Madison basically said, my other connection is giving me what I want and that validation, that's when Mason said, I'm committed to you. I fully believe that. Daniel and Taylor, they get engaged and we see their reveal. What do you think about this reveal with Daniel and Taylor? She is totally not impressed, in my opinion. We see Daniel like over the moon about her appearance. He keeps telling her she's beautiful. He kind of just says, oh, I just like want to hold you. And then Taylor's like, then do it. I don't know. I think Taylor is so checked out in a way. I think it was cute. Like, the reveal was cute, but I'm not feeling it. I think he's super into her. I think she's not as much into it. I also felt like it took a while for them to kiss. We will circle back to them in a little bit, but what did you think about that reveal? I just don't think that she was attracted to him. We also see Lauren and Dave's reveal. People are saying he has sugar in his tank. You know what I mean? They're saying he fights for the other team. People are saying he's hiding the fact that he's gay. I don't know. What do you think down in the comment section down below? I personally just don't think he's attracted to Lauren. Like, I don't think that she's his type. I think Lauren's cute, but I don't think that Lauren is his type. And I don't think he was impressed by anything. He didn't necessarily say, wow, you're so beautiful. It was awkward. Lauren was like, oh, my hands are sweaty. And he was basically like, mine are too. And she's like, well, you're wearing like 5 more layers than me. And then he's like, well, actually 2. And then she's like, yeah. It's just awkward. There's no chemistry there. Lauren, I can't help you. Like, I just can't. Anyways, Devin and Virginia get engaged. The reveal is not this episode, but we will talk about that reveal next episode. It's really sweet. We're very excited. Now we have the real juice. Alex and Madison. They have their date. It starts out really cute. They both got gifts for each other. Madison gave Alex a rock. Madison's late brother used to collect rocks, and the rock that she gave Alex, it looked like it had a heart carved in it or something. And that's the first rock that she collected after her brother had passed. So she kind of collects rocks in his honor, which I thought was super sweet. Alex gives Madison a book that his grandma, I think she painted, and she used to visit Guatemala a lot. Alex's grandma painted the history of Guatemala in this book. And then we just see that cute little gift exchange. Then it gets juicy and Alex starts asking deep questions. Alex says his biggest concern is the avoidance thing again, because Madison's attachment style is an avoidance. Alex is like, how do I know you're not just gonna get up and leave? And Madison says, the only thing that I can do is promise to give you my best. Like, I can't promise we won't disagree on things. And then a direct quote from Alex. He says, I kind of loved the drama, but Mason, honestly, he was devastated. That is so interesting. And mind you, I forgot to mention this, but before Mason got broken up with, Alex went over to him and was like, you got this. Good luck. I don't like that, where you know something's gonna happen, so you're trying to attach yourself to the situation. And I didn't like that Alex said he loves the drama after that. After saying his friend Mason was devastated. It's just so weird, and I think Alex and Madison, they both have two weird things going into this. Madison said she saw Mason's true colors because he took back his words. And she's referring to Mason saying, I shouldn't have said I'm committed to you. Keep in mind, though, that Madison broke it off with him. Then Mason said, I shouldn't have pressured you and I shouldn't have said I'm committed to you. The fact that she's mad after the fact, like, if you are breaking up with someone and then they take their words back in a pod date, in this dating experience, I feel like it shouldn't hold that much weight. It shouldn't hold that much weight to where Madison's saying, I saw his true colors, blah, blah, blah. If you were already in a stronger connection with Alex, I don't understand why she's so emotional about it, but also saying that she knew that Mason didn't mean it. Alex kind of like brings up this topic. He keeps trying to bring up this topic. He says, I wish him the best. Madison says, that makes one of us. And then Alex says, be nice, be nice. It's just weird. And then at some point, Madison starts tapping her wine glass. She starts tapping the table, the chair. And she's like, I honestly just don't want to talk about this anymore, which I totally get, actually. He basically fished for more information about the situation. He was saying, well, I just know Mason was super upset. He said that you said something to his other connection and that screwed him over. And Madison was like, no, I didn't. Which you did, girl. But see, they both have two wrong things in this situation. I don't think Alex should have kept fishing about what happened because Alex was the one to originally ask Madison who the other connection is. Then he's trying to clarify what Mason was so upset about that Madison talked about to Meg. I think Alex had some sort of gut intuition that maybe Madison is messy and that she could be a mean girl, but I didn't like that, and that's where we end. A lot of people are saying that Madison is kind of getting her karma because she straight up told Meg about what Mason did. But honestly though, the fact that Mason, Meg, Alex, and Madison, they didn't even get engaged, and now we're finding out that Brittany got engaged to Mo. That makes no sense to show the stupid storyline of scraps. We don't normally see storylines of people not getting engaged at all. Maybe if Meg and Mason got engaged, it would be fine to show the Alex and Madison storyline mixed with that, but none of the four got engaged, so there was really no point to show us that storyline. What do you guys think? Going back to Taylor and Daniel, so at the very end, Taylor's super upset saying, I swear when the doors open, I've seen Daniel before. I swear I have. I swear he followed me and then unfollowed me. And I swear he had a picture of him in front of a Christmas tree, sitting in a chair with a drink in hand. Then she starts to cry, and like part of me feels for her. But if we're gonna say the word delulu, this seems delulu in a way, and it's very much, we're reaching for something here. I personally think she's just making this up so she can not be with Daniel because she doesn't like the way his face looks. Am I the only one who thinks that? She basically said in her Instagram that she loves Taco Bell, that she is a nurse, that she loves her faith and her friends and her family. Those are all things that they've been talking about in the pods, which makes her worried that he knew who she was the entire time and he knew about what she looked like before she came in the pods. So I think she's saying she felt like he targeted her, singled her out because he knew what she'd look like, which everyone loves Taco Bell. Come on. I feel like everyone, for the most part, in general, if we're talking about generalities, everyone loves Taco Bell, everyone loves their friends and family, and almost everyone is a nurse nowadays. Okay? I know that they've talked about a lot more things in the pods besides loving Taco Bell, that she's a nurse, and that Christmas and her family is important to her. Everyone that celebrates, and most people who celebrate Christmas love Christmas. Do you see the stores around October nowadays? They have Christmas stuff out already. Actually, I feel like August and September of last year, 2024, there was Christmas stuff everywhere. I just feel like it was a reach. Okay, this is going a little bit into the beginning of episode 7, but we see Taylor and Daniel sitting down and she's like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm gonna go look and see if this is you. Like, do you have a Christmas picture of you with the drink in a chair in front of a Christmas tree? He's like, I genuinely don't. I believe I have one in front of a fireplace, no drink in hand. She's still emotional and she is like, does someone have the Wi-Fi password? So then we awkwardly watch her type in the Wi-Fi password on her phone, and I think she has the app that shows how many people follow her and unfollow her, which is interesting. And keep in mind, they did talk about Instagram handles in the pods, so that made me think about things. Even if he did, like, let's say he did follow her, and clearly Minnesota, everyone knows each other. A pretty girl, I think it's not unusual for guys to follow pretty girls, and like maybe he doesn't remember if he did. Listen, I think Daniel was really respectful in this situation. He basically said, I don't remember. I don't think it's me. But whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to go to Honduras, we can. If you want to stay home, let's stay home together. Like, he was very much saying, I want to be with you. I also want you comfortable. This sounds so bad, but I honestly think that he says everything that she loves to hear. I'm not saying he's doing that on purpose. I think if he had a different face, she'd be all in, but I think she's making this up. I think she's making this up so I can't even get through it. I think she's making this up because she doesn't like his face. But she loves that he is so loving and heartwarming. She cries a couple times because she says, no one has ever said that to me before. No one ever said, I'll come find you. She just doesn't like his face. Like, let's just be honest. And she's not the only one. There's another couple that we'll talk about next video that I'm just not feeling them. Devin and Virginia. I don't think Virginia likes Devin, but we'll talk about that at the next episode. Anyways, you guys, that is Love is Blind Season 8, Episodes 4 through 6. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Do you think Madison is a mean girl? Do you think we should have seen Brittany and Mo's storyline? Do you think Mason has a better connection with Meg or Madison? What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. If you don't, I just appreciate you being here, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye!